Once we know how to multiply fractions, we can move on to dividing fractions. Now here is where it gets a little bit tricky. So we know a great rule for multiplying fractions. 3 words. Multiply straight across. So now I'm thinking, well, crud, I can't divide straight across. That doesn't make sense. Sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about my inverse operations. The inverse, or the opposite of multiplication, is division. So, I'm like, okay, well, if I can do something so that I can multiply straight across, I'm going to do it. So, here's what we do. We take the second fraction. Because I'm going to flip this, I'm going to flip the second fraction too. So I'm going to make that 4 over 1. That's the inverse of 1/4. So just my second fraction, always the second fraction, because that's the one we're dividing and changing things up with. So I have 3/8 divided by 1/4. So what I do is I do the inverse of the fraction, and that allows me to do the inverse operation. It's an algebraic principle, but it works beautifully for dividing fractions. So we do the inverse of the second fraction, which is basically just go like that, flip it upside down, and then because we've done that, we do the inverse operation. Then it's as simple as multiplying straight across. So we have now 3 times 4 is 12. 8 times 1 equals 8. 12/8 improper fraction. Got to simplify it. 8 goes into 12 one whole time. The 8 times 1 is 8. The remainder is 4. And we're still talking eighths. Well, now 1 and 4/8. 4 goes into both 4 and 8. So I need to further simplify that. 1 whole, the whole number stays the same, but the fractional part, I'm going to divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 1 and 1/2. So, I want to show you this again. 13 divided by 4/5. We take the inverse of the second number. So instead of 4/5, we're going to make that 5/4. Okay? So I flip that one, and then I flip the division into multiplication. As we learned last lesson, any number divided by 1 equals itself, so let's just make that a fraction. Okay, 13 times 5, because we can multiply straight across, that equals 65. 1 times 4 equals 4. Now we get 65/4, another improper fraction. So we go ahead and we simplify that. We make it into a mixed number. 4 goes into 65 16 whole times. 4 times 16 is 64. And so the difference is 1, and we're still talking fourths. So 13 divided by 4/5 is 16 and 1/4. Because I'm dividing by less than 1, it's got to be greater than the original. And that is the simplest form of dividing fractions.